Welcome back and happy Spooktober, guys. My one friend's just started asking me, he was like, when are we going to get to see a fiend deck during this? I mean, things that go bump in the night are pretty fun. You're right, buddy. So this one's going to be for you. But before I get into that, if you guys are interested in winning some of my extra rare cards from my box openings and from when I bought into Battle of Legends Armageddon, remember, just leave a comment sometime on one of our Spooktober videos. And at the end of every week, we're going to go ahead, we're going to vote on the comments. We're going to pick about 3 of you guys. We're going to give everybody 3 cards. And we'll contact you via your profiles and give you the contact information so we can get the mailing addresses so we can get all that sent out to you guys. Enough wasting time. Let's talk about the deck today. And today's deck is going to be the Double D, Triple D deck. Now, again, I'm going to say it like that because the source material I feel is going to be the cartoon series. And rather than calling them DD or DDDs, the show called them Double and Triple Ds. So, our main deck, we're going to be using 3 Double D Lamia, 2 Double D Necro Slime, 1 Double D Orthros, 3 Double D Copernicus, 3 Double D Kepler Savant Kepler, 2 copies Double D Savant Newton, 3 copies Double D Savant Thomas, 3 copies Double D Swirl Slime, 3 copies Triple D Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok, and 2 copies of the Triple D Rebel King Leonidas. Now, our spells are going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to have 3 copies of Lure of Darkness. My cat got a hold of this copy once upon a time, but I still play it because I love it. We got the 3 copies of the Dark Contract with the Gate, 2 copies of Dark Contract with the Swamp King, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 for 1, 3 copies Contract Laundering, because again, this is more of the casual budget version, but you can play this at a more competitive level. If you guys want to see that, let me know. And our last card is going to be a Dark Contract with the Witch. And in our extra deck today, because this is the casual version, I'm going to be running 2 copies of... He's in the wrong spot, guys. All right, we're going to have the 1 copy of Triple D Flame High King Genghis. And again, this was something that you would up if you're going to be playing this in a competitive form. We're going to be playing 2 copies of Triple D Flame King Genghis, 1 copy Triple D Oracle King Dark, 1 Triple D Super Doom King Purple Armageddon, and 1 Triple D Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok. That's a mouthful. Our synchros today are going to be a copy of Triple D Cursed King Siegfried and 1 copy of Gust King Alexander. And oh, would you look at that? There's my no-name Miss Punch dual power Stardust Dragon. And our overlays are going to be the Triple D Duodon King Kali Yuga, a copy of Triple D Wave King Caesar, and Triple D Wave High King Caesar. We're also going to run a single copy of the Cross Sheep and 2 copies of Triple D Abyss King Gilgamesh. So if you guys were only here for the profile list, class is officially dismissed. Don't forget to leave a comment if you want to win some of my cards for free. And if you were here for the deck profile, the actual breakdown, strap in. This one's going to be a little bit longer because of the amount of pendulum cards. So, starting off, we're going to go with the Double D Lamia. So if this is in the hand to the graveyard, you can send a Double D or Dark Contract card from the hand or face up on the field to the graveyard except Lamia. Special summon this card, banish it when it leaves the field, use this effect once per turn. So it has a recursion ability, which is good, or it can actually summon itself directly from the hand as an extender. It is also our tuner, which is amazing, and you're going to need to keep a watch on your star levels because he's only a 1, or she's only a 1. Take your pick. Necro Slime here is one of my favorite characters. Now, if he's in the graveyard, you can fusion summon any Triple D fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from the graveyard, including this card. So he is the catalyst and a material. And you may only use this effect once per turn, which is great. We're going to show you how to abuse that. We're going to have the other tuner, which is part pendulum. It's the Orthros. So in a scale, he's worth 3. And while he's a scale, his effect is once per turn, you can target a spell trap on the field and one other double D or dark contract card you control and destroy them. As a monster, when you take battle or effect damage, you may special summon this from the hand. And if it is special summoned to your field, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except fiend types. No worries, guys. I'm pretty sure everybody in this deck is a fiend. We're going to have the 3 Copernicus. As a scale, it is worth 1. While it is a scale, you cannot pendulum summon except double D. Double D does include triple D. This effect cannot be negated. Once, while this card is in the pendulum zone, you can negate an activated spell effect that would inflict damage to you, then destroy this card. There's not a lot of burn decks going on right now. And I'm pretty sure our contracts say that you pay... Oh, nope, they say take. So you can get out of the contract. As a monster, if this is normal or special summoned, you can send a double D or dark contract card from the deck to the graveyard, except Copernicus. Use this effect once per turn. This is great because it's sort of like Foolish Burial, and if you have a resurrection ability, or if you need to send Lamias to use it as an extender, this is a great way to do that. Kepler is one of the best cards in this deck. He is a scale 10. When he is a scale, you cannot pendulum summon monsters except double D monsters. This effect cannot be negated once per turn. During the standby phase, reduce this card's pendulum scale by 2 to a minimum of 1. Then destroy all monsters you control with a level greater than or equal to this card's pendulum scale. So he's a little trickier to use for pendulum, but it's actually his normal summon effect that I'm after. If this is normal or special summoned, you may activate one of the following effects, and you may only use this effect once per turn. You can target one other double D card you control and return it to the hand, or add a dark contract from the deck to the hand, which is the effect I most often go for. Then you're going to have my other favorite boy, Newton, and he's another 10 scale, and actually my preferred one for going into the scale. You cannot pendulum summon monsters except double D. That effect cannot be negated. Once per turn, while this is in the pendulum zone, you can negate negate an activated trap effect that would inflict damage to you, then destroy this card. As a monster, you can discard this card, then target one double D or dark contract card in the graveyard except Newton, add it to your hand. You may only use this once per turn. So he's good both ways. Thomas is another great one. As a scale, he says during the main phase, you can add one face-up double D pendulum from the extra deck to your hand, and you can only use this effect once per turn. And as a monster, you can target one double D monster, or one double D card in the pendulum zone, destroy that card, and if you do, special summon one level 8 triple D monster from your deck in defense mode. But for the rest of this turn, its effects, if any, are negated, and any battle damage your opponent takes becomes halved. You may only use this effect once per turn. His star level is important. He's an 8 star, and he's really useful for going into Kali Yuga. So that's also good. Swirl Slime is another great card. If this is in your hand, you may fusion summon one triple D fusion monster from the extra deck using this monster from your hand as fusion material, including this card. You can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon one double D monster from your hand. You may use each effect once per turn. My favorite use for the Swirl Slime is to discard him and Necro Slime simultaneously and create 2 fusion monsters at the same time. Then you got the triple D Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. Pendulum effect, if you special summon a double D monsters, except during the damage step, you can target one double D monster in your graveyard. Any battle damage your opponent takes becomes halved for the rest of this turn. Also special summon that monster, and if you do, take 1,000 damage. You can use this effect only once per turn. Now, as a monster, if this is normal or special summoned, you can target one triple D monster card in your graveyard to special summon it, which is a great extension. And you can only use this effect of triple D Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok once per turn. Once per turn, you contribute another double D card monster, and then target one monster your opponent controls to banish it. So he's actually very good, very useful, and he's almost a boss level, even though he's better in defense than he'll ever be in attack position. And then there's my boy Leonidas, which I noticed a lot of players were questioning why I would run Leonidas, but give him a second. As a scale, when you take effect damage, except during the damage step, you can destroy this card, and if you do, any effect damage that would inflict damage to a player this turn increases their life points instead, so I can get paid for having the contracts. And as a monster, when I take effect damage, except during the damage step, I can special summon this card from my hand, and if I do, gain life equal to the damage I just took, and then I will no longer take effect damage. So, not that I need to worry about my contracts sitting on the field in a game where Twin Twister, MST, Cosmic Cyclone, and Harpy's Feather Duster are going to be running around, but just in case you decided that you wanted to see me get offed by my own effects, I got that. Now, Allure Darkness is pretty good. I believe every main deck card here was a dark attribute, so it does not matter what my hand is looking like. I will not have to discard my hand as long as I have a monster card. So, gonna have your draw power there. Dark Contract with the Gate states that during your main phase, you can add 1 double D from your deck to the hand. You can use this effect once per turn, and once per turn during the standby phase, take 1,000 damage. This helps us correct our hands. The Dark Contract with Swamp King allows us to fusion summon, so during the main phase, you can fusion summon a fiend-type fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. You can only use this effect once per turn, and if summoning a double D fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion material. Once per turn during the standby phase, take that obligatory 1,000 damage. Now, what's amazing here is it's like polymerization and dark calling, I think it was, at the same time, and can be used in more decks as long as you're running, the fiend fusions, but obviously better in its own deck. Foolish Burial is going to let us toss some of those cards to the discard pile, like Lamia. This is where we get those extensions going. Monster Reborn, 1 for 1, again, lets us play the Lamia. But more importantly, the Kepler, because that effect is even when it is special summoned. Now, the Contract Laundering is awesome because it destroys many dark contracts in your spell trap as possible. And if you do draw the same number of cards you destroyed, gaining 1,000 life points for each card you draw. So, pretty fantastic way to recoup some hit points. And then our trap card, the Dark Contract of the Witch. You can send 1 double D or Dark Contract card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 card on the field, destroy it. You can use this effect of the Dark Contract of the Witch once per turn. Additionally, all fiend monsters you control gain 1,000 attack during your opponent's turn only, and during your standby phase, take 1,000 damage. So it allows you to sort of just set yourself up for a nice defensive play after the fact. Now, our extra deck is going to take just about as much time. The first card there is Triple D Flame High King Genghis. So we need a level 5 or higher double D plus a double D. If another double D monster is normal or special summoned to the field while you controls this, except the damage step, you can target 1 double D monster in the graveyard, special summon it. You can use this effect once per turn. Once per turn when a spell, trap, or card or an effect is activated. Quick effect, you may negate the activation. So once per turn, he gets to pretend he is Shien of the Six Samurai. And then, of course, what I would do is I'd probably be using the Flame Kingus to play him, and it's just 2 double D cards. If another double D monster is a special summon to your side of the field while you control this card face up, target a double D in the graveyard, special summon it back. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by opponent's card effect, target a Dark Contract card in the graveyard and add that back to your hand. Dark here is actually very easy. Just any 2 double Ds and any effect that would inflict damage to you makes you gain life points instead, so you get paid for having your contracts. The Purple Armageddon is just kind of a little jerk move for you. So in the scales, once per turn before damage calculation, if your Triple D fusion monster battles an opponent's monster, you can make that monster lose 1,000 attack until the end of this turn, even if this card has left the field. But the best effect is that it's a fusion of any 2 Triple D monsters. So you can target 1 attack position monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if you do, inflict damage to the opponent equal to half of its original attack. You can only use this effect once per turn. Before damage calculation, if an opponent's monster battles, you can make its attack become equal to its original attack till the end of the damage step, seeing as equipped cards are a thing for decks like Noble Knights, this may actually be better. And if somebody is going to attempt to run the Utopia engine, as long as they don't have another card to stop it, when they play double to regular Utopia, Utopia would be at 5,000. You can smack that back down to 25 and eliminate the one punch. Last effect. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you may place it to the pendulum. So fantastic card overall. Crazy that it was just a common out of Soul Fusion. And crazy I don't see more people talking about it. It's got a whole laundry list of effects. 3,500 by 3,000. Just a fantastic stat. Last fusion monster is the Triple D Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok. And it's any 2 Triple Ds. Once per turn when an attack is declared involving this card, you can target one other Double D or Dark Contract you control. Return that to the hand, and if you do, equip one face-up monster your opponent controls to this card except the battling monster. This card gains attack equal to the combined original attack of the monsters equipped to it by its own effect. So actually pretty nasty build-up and bulk up, and great for any casual player. Go over to our Synchros. I use my Synchros the least, and I know everybody thinks I threw the Stardust in here just as a joke, but I did find a few times where I needed to play for it, so yeah, it's good to have an old friend. So, Siegfried here, tuner plus non-tuners, looks like he's 8 stars. During either player's turn, you can target a face-up spell trap card on the field. That target has its effects negated until the next standby phase. Use this effect only once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, gain 1,000 life points for every dark contract that you currently control. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, Gust Alexander. So if another Double D monster is normal or special summoned to the field while you control this, except during the damage step, target a level 4 lower Double D in the graveyard, special summon it, using this effect only once per turn. And again, it's a Double D tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. And Siegfried was the exact opposite. He's a tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner Double Ds. And he's going to be your nice little 7-star, just a step below. And then everybody should know Stardust at this point, but if you don't, when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card or cards on the field as a quick effect, you may tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. During the end phase, if this effect was activated this turn and was not negated, you may special summon this card from the graveyard. So, nice little recurring negation. Okay. Triple D Duo Don King Kaliuga is probably one of the best cards in this deck. Any 2 level 8 Double Ds. After this card is Xyz summoned for the rest of the turn, other cards and their effects cannot be activated on the field, and other card and effects on the field are negated. Once per turn during either player's turn, detach material from this, destroy all spell traps on the field. You may detach one Xyz material from this card, then target a Dark Contract spell trap in the graveyard and set it. He's probably one of the best cards this deck has. And the fact that, again, this card is 35 by 3,000 and super easy to play, just a winner. We got the Wave King Caesar, any 2 level 4 fiends. During either player's turn, detach material from this at the end of the battle phase. Special summon from your graveyard as many monsters destroyed this turn as possible. But during the next standby phase, take 1,000 damage for each one. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Dark Contract card from your deck to the hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. He's okay. He's actually best for his stat. And then there's the High King Caesar. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster, quick effect, attach material, negate the activation, destroy the card. Then make one other Double D monster you control and this card gain 1,800 attack until the end of the turn. If this is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Dark Contract from the deck to the hand. A little stronger, 2 level 6 fiends, and he's got that 2,800 power. He's not playing around. Finally, to the links. Cross Sheep is definitely a great card for this. 2 monsters with different names. If a monster special summoned to a zone this card points to, apply the following effects in sequence based on the card types of the monsters that it points to. So we don't need to worry about the ritual draw 2, drop 2, but we need the other 3 effects. So if we use a fusion monster, we special summon a level 4 lower monster from our graveyard. If we synchronize, all my monsters gain 700. Note, it does not say till the end of the turn, that's permanent. And if we exease, all monsters our opponent control lose 700. And again, not till the end of the turn. That's a permanent loss. Now, you can only use this effect once per turn. But this is good if you can pendulum or if you just want to just keep getting an effect each turn. And one of our best play starters is actually Abyss King Gilgamesh. So any 2 double Ds to create him. If this is special summon, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except double Ds. Also place 2 double D pendulum monsters with different names from the deck into the pendulum zones. And if you do, take 1,000. If this link summoned card is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster or an opponent's card effect while it's in its owner's monster zone, you can special summon 1 double D monster from the extra deck or graveyard in defense position. You can only use each effect of triple D Abyss King Gilgamesh once per turn. So real quick, let me pause. I'm going to shuffle my deck and I'm going to run a quick test hand and show you guys my unique dual center this time. So there's my Blazion dual center. This actually comes from the Yokai Watch trading card game. And that one was a bit different. It was a little more geared towards the younger kids. And I figured since it's Spooktober and yokai are essentially Japanese spirits, he'd make a cool one. Plus, he looks a lot like Leomon if in a different art style. So, as a big fan of Digimon, I just thought he was more appropriate. Getting the last few shuffles here while I'm doing that. Again, if you guys are interested in winning some of those free cards, just leave a comment on any of my Spooktober videos this October. And at the end of the week, we will go ahead and find our favorite comments. Let those viewers know, trade information, and then we'll go ahead and get those prizes sent out to you guys as quick as possible, alright? Alright, I think this is probably about as shuffled as it's going to get, so let's throw one test hand down and see just how fast we can make a cool board. So, we're going to get Lamia, Copernicus, Leonidas, 1 for 1, Foolish Burial. I don't think we need to go second, but if we did, we'd have an additional Allure of Darkness, so let's just kind of hold on to it. So, I think the first move here is you would, 1 for 1, you'd send your Lamia, because you know that you're going to be able to recur it, and we're actually going to go for Kepler. And while we're already in the deck because of Kepler, we're going to be able to add that Dark Contract from our deck to our hand. So then we're going to pick one of our Dark Contract cards. And again, I don't think that it really matters, but let's get the Dark Contract with the gate real quick. Give it another little shuffly shuffle. In fact, we'll probably actually activate the Foolish Burial at this point too, just to make sure that we can send Oblivion King Abyss to the discard pile, so that if we can go ahead and develop one of them, we'll be able to bring back the other one and show off just how easy it is to make some of these cards. So I've still got the 4 cards in my hand. So real quick, we'll read Copernicus' effect real quick again. When he's normal summon, I can send a double D contract from my deck to the graveyard. I don't see any need to actually do that real quick. Let's do the Allure Darkness with Copernicus probably going. So yeah, Copernicus is out for Necro Slime and Swamp King. And there's that Allure, so this way I drop the correct card. We're going to be able to play the Contract with the Gate real quick. This lets us grab 1 double D from the deck. Since we got, I said it was Necro Slime, double check, it was Necro Slime, we'll grab Swirl Slime. And of course those didn't shuffle very well, those 3 were all together. So next we will activate Swirl and Necro Slime. So I will be able to fusion summon using this. So that'll be King Genghis. Remember, guys, King Genghis. If another would be special summoned in my field while I control this face up, I could target one in the graveyard to bring back. So now we'll banish them off the Necro Slime effect. Let's play the other King Genghis. That'll allow you to bring back Abyss Ragnarok. Do we want to bring back Abyss Ragnarok yet? Doesn't matter, already did. And then we can play our Dark Contract with the Swamp King. We don't have to fuse right away. Instead, focus. Alright, I'll do the take it away from the... Okay, use the effect of... Okay, so it's not this card once per turn. But already you've got all this. You're going to be able to fuse these two to go into our High Genghis. Of course, you're going to put this guy on the top of your extra deck. And already I've got a pretty good board going. So we've already got a negate. We can special summon again. I could throw a card at my opponent. I could start banishing things. So it's not bad. This maybe wasn't the best test hand, but I don't want this video to go any longer. So I'm going to cut it here, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.